Hi, and welcome to Happy Progress. I'm Alex Harris. Today we're here with Brenden from MasterTalk. How you doing, Brenden?
Very good, man. How about yourself?
Excellent. Brenden, does progress equal happiness to you?
Does progress equal happiness to you? I definitely do in my case, but I definitely don't think for everybody. Like for me, I'm very goals oriented. So I like achieving milestones. I like knocking out goals and it does make me happy. But that's definitely not true for everybody. I think everyone's got their own way of thinking about it, but progress is definitely for me.
Awesome. Brenden is a business transformation consultant at IBM, and more importantly, has a great YouTube channel where he focuses on helping the world master the art of public speaking at MasterTalk. So tell us a little bit about MasterTalk and how you're helping people improve their public speaking communication skills.
Of course, happy to. So the story began in university. I used to do these things called case competitions. Think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So other guys my age were playing football or rugby or soccer or some other thing I didn't really understand. I applied that same competitive spirit to presentations. So for 3 years, I presented hundreds of times, coached dozens of people in their communication skills. So when I started working at the company and I started in corporate, I just asked myself a simple question. How can I make a difference in the world? And that's when the idea for the YouTube channel came to me because I realized that a lot of the communication information online was really bad. You'd hear advice like, "Oh, Alex, you're an introvert. You should like get up on stage." It's just like, well, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I just started making videos in my mother's basement. One thing led to another, and the rest was history.
Very cool. Well, I definitely watched a number of the different videos, and what I found is that you have a certain way of thinking about approaching it, and very practical tips to apply for public speaking. And even if you don't want to be a public speaker, you have to be great at communication. Me, I wanted to be an artist. I was always super introverted. I was more interested in playing video games and skateboarding than going out and doing lectures and meeting other people and presenting my ideas. But when in my professional career, in order to present my web design or my marketing, case studies and show my customers how they're actually going to make more money, that's all sales and communication skills. So what advice do you give to the young entrepreneurs who are maybe introverted, who are really trying to figure out their voice and their presentation skills?
Yeah, my advice is very simple. Realize that everyone has an idea worth sharing. And once you realize what that idea is, it's going to help you execute. The way you do that is simple, Alex. You ask yourself this question. How would the world change if you were an exceptional communicator? How would the world be different if you were 10 times better at communication? And that doesn't, look, to your point, right? It doesn't mean you need to be presenting in front of 10,000 people. It could be a tough conversation you always want to have with your family. It could be a dinner conversation you always want to have with a friend you haven't seen in many years. It doesn't really matter what the thing is. Just find your thing and then go double down on that.
Yeah, I mean, even having difficult conversations with your team at work or your boss, having the confidence to know what your value is and then be able to present that is a skill that you have to work on and very important part of growth. What creates experiences that really show how we can present in the right way? How do you create experiences that really last a lifetime through public speaking?
I love it. I'll show you a quick method that I think if anyone in this video follows who's listening to the pod will definitely benefit. So the technique is called the puzzle method. Public speaking is a lot like a jigsaw puzzle, Alex. You know those kind of things you're going to do with your family, those pieces kind of put together. So if I asked you, let's say you're working on a jigsaw puzzle yourself, which pieces would you start with first and why?
The easier ones that are to explain, their stories.
Right, but the jigsaw puzzles, you know those like 1,000-piece puzzles you kind of buy at Toys R Us?
Oh yeah, and the corners.
Yeah, the corners, exactly. Right? And what would your rationale be for the corners?
They're have corners.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, don't worry, it's not a trick question, right? It's just corner pieces are easier to find. You're working with in the middle.
Exactly, these are fine.
But the question we had to ask ourselves is why don't we do that in public speaking? We have a presentation at work, in the boardroom, at the classroom. Doesn't matter what it is. So what do? We start with the middle. We shove a bunch of content. Shove, 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 shove. We get to the presentation. We ramble, ramble, ramble. We get to the last slide, and it sounds something like this. Thanks. That's probably 97% of the presentations I've seen. And it's easy to fix. Start with the edges first. Present your introduction 50 times. Not 3 times, not 5 times. Do it 50 times. It actually won't take you that long. Every introduction's a minute. Take you an hour. Same thing with the conclusion. What's a great movie with a terrible ending? Last time I checked, terrible movie. It's the same thing. 50 times the conclusion. 2 hours of practice, Alex, will change your life. So going back to your point about creating experiences that last for a lifetime in public speaking, the way that you do that is by starting and ending extremely powerfully. And if you present so many times that same tweaked introduction, it'll allow you to help and build and give you the confidence you need to present your content. Tony Robbins is the best example of that, right? He's been presenting the same damn seminar for 40 years. Same thing with Chris Do from the future, since this is a design podcast. He's very big on YouTube. He's been doing the same damn videos for 10 years. How to build a 7-figure business, how to build a business, how to be a business creative as a business. Like it's always the same thing. And that's why they're grandmasters of what they do.
Yeah, that's really important because I believe the first 3 minutes of your presentation of whatever you do is the most remembered. Obviously, it's the first impression. And then your takeaways are kind of what you all wrap it up. And so what about in the middle? What advice do you have to, you have your ideas, you're bringing things together. Any advice for kind of putting together that core body work?
Absolutely. 2 parts. Very simple. First part, what's your key idea? If you were to summarize your entire presentation in 1 sentence, what would that sentence be? I'd even push that further. If you were to summarize your life's work in 1 sentence, what would that sentence be? So for me, that sentence is anyone in the world can master communication. You just got to understand how to do it. That's all. And then the second part of the framework isn't a 7-step process. Isn't here's my booklet with 376 things to do. No. It's just another simple question. What is the best way of defending your key idea? Try different things. Is it a statistic? Is it a number? Is it an analogy? Try different things, taste different things, and you'll figure out what sticks as you talk to your core audience group.
Yeah. To add on to that, when I am presenting, you're looking for key things that your audience either asks you or responds to, that then you basically use those keywords and those language back into your presentation. That tends to kind of resonate. So they're telling you their problem, and then you're in the solution, kind of bringing back those keywords and things that resonate with them, because it directly addresses what they mentioned to give to you. Any additional tips for like maybe in that negotiation or back and forth conversation in communicating?
Yeah, I think I always like to give counterintuitive advice. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, Brenden, how do I talk to everyone in the room? How do I get everyone to like me?
Yeah.
How do I be more likable?" My advice is don't focus on that. And the reason is why. People look at relationship building like this, Alex. They go, I'm at this networking cocktail. I got to give my business school to everybody, and I got everyone to like me. Well, let me kind of turn that on its head. Let's say that you meet one person every couple of days. So, give or take, you'll meet 100 new people in a year. And that's very optimistic. Most people don't. Right? Most people don't meet that many people in a year. Let's say you live for 50 more years. Obviously, I hope you live a lot longer. Let's just say 50. You're going to meet 5,000 people, give or take, in your life, out of a sea of billions of people. So the question to ask yourself is not how do I get everyone to like me, but rather, who do I want those 5,000 people to be? When you ask yourself that question, you get a very different answer. Then when you get to that point, you don't really care about who you're impressing at the cocktail. You're saying, am I attending the right event? Am I even going to the right people where the 5,000 people that I want to talk to are actually there? Are you flying out to a design conference, or are you at a bakery? Like, what's going on here? That's the point. When you focus on talking to the right 5,000 people, you don't care anymore about the negotiation and the soft skills and all that stuff, because they already like you. They're like, oh, you do design? What software are you using? And you just talk to them as if you already knew them. It's a lot easier.
Great advice there. Now let's talk about a little bit about constructive criticism, or as people have back and forth candor, because conflict is actually good for business. It helps produce growth. Whether you're right or you're wrong, you kind of figure those things out. What type of tips or advice do you have there?
So the advice is definitely going to vary based on the person you're talking to. Some people like their feedback sandwiched. Oh, Alex, you did so great, but you actually sucked at this. But you're such a great person, right? But other people just go, well, Alex, here's the deal. Like, you suck, or you did this really well,
Yeah.
right? So everyone's different. But I would say the consistent piece of advice is, if you want to give feedback, receive it first.
Yeah.
So that means, like, if me and you are on a team, I'll never give you feedback until you give me feedback. Until I take the initiative. And I want everyone who's listening to take that initiative for your own teams. I'm never going to say, here's my feedback for you, Alex, but rather saying, what do you think I can do better as a guest here? Let me take notes first so you can see that I'm listening to your perspective. Then that gives me the permission to give you feedback. But if I don't take the feedback, I shouldn't be... if I don't receive the feedback, I shouldn't be giving it in the first place. That's a general rule of thumb that works.
That makes sense. It's kind of a standard leadership skill, leading and receiving the feedback before you actually give it. That makes sense. Any other suggestions or tips just in the general world of business and communication? Improv. You're asked randomly in a meeting. You don't. Brenden, what's your advice on this? How do you dig into the back of your mind real quick and pull out that great idea?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pieces of the puzzle for impromptu. But what I would say in general, one way to practice that on a daily basis to kind of build up that muscle is what I call the random word exercise. And this is something you could do on your own. You don't even need a partner for this. Just wake up every morning, pick 5 different objects in your house, and create presentations out of them. Pretty simple. Floor, camera, desk, tree, doorknob. If you're making random presentations out of thin air, you're going to be able to present really anything, especially if it's related to your subject matter. It's not like that person's going to look at you in a boardroom and go, hey, Alex, can you talk about your favorite color? Like, what? Like, no, it's going to be related to the project, right? So those exercises become a lot easier when you get through the random word exercise.
And have you seen, I know you go on a number of different podcasts and obviously on your YouTube channel, how do you apply some of these general tactics to coming on to a podcast and being asked questions that you may not know right away? How does that impromptu kind of filter out? Do you have like your core elevator pitches kind of canned and ready to go? Any thoughts there to be really prepared for the unknown?
Yeah, here's what you'll find to kind of ease people's tensions on podcasts, especially for that medium specifically. You'll find out really quickly that it's actually not that hard. And the reason it isn't, yeah, sure, the first times when you're on a guest, you're on a show, you're right, man. Like, people go, so Brenden, where do you think the fear of public speaking comes from? And I'm kind of sitting there in my mother's basement saying, well, I started this, I don't really know. But then when you get the same question the 300th time, there's not really anything you can't prepare for anymore. You pretty much know an answer to everything. No podcast host is going to look at you and go, so Brenden, when was World War II? Option A, 1942 to 4. Like, no one's going to do that, right? They're just going to be like, well, you're the procrastination expert. You're the communication expert. You're the design guy. Talk to me about that. That's why you're on the show. So the advice for people is just go on more shows. You'll realize that the list of questions that you get are always the same.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any tools or books that you recommend for maybe young entrepreneurs who are looking to really fine-tune their communication skills?
Yep. Well, one book in particular. It's called Thirst by Scott Harrison. Scott Harrison is the Sea of Charity Water, for those who don't know. Helps people gain access to clean water. But what's fascinating about his story is the way that he leverages branding, messaging, storytelling, and his own speaking engagements when he speaks to publics across the world to raise money for his charity. I think he's raised hundreds of millions now for charity water.
Wow.
And I think he's a great case study, especially from a guy who's a nonprofit, right? He has less budget than we do, less resources to work with, especially when he started. So that would be my advice, is focus on his story and see what you can dissect from his journey.
Awesome. Let's tell people more about how they can find out more about you and check out your YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Super simple. All you got to do is go on YouTube and type MasterTalk in one word, and you'll find me right there on YouTube.
Awesome. What's one final piece of advice that you'll give to help others achieve rocket level success?
That was a beautiful way of phrasing that one. I love it. You really know how to pull those heartstrings, Alex. Anyways, the advice I always give people is always the same, especially for those of you who are 20 minutes into this and are still listening to what I have to say for some reason. And the advice is be insane or be the same. If you want to be like everyone else, it's totally fine. But if you want to make a difference in the world, you want to do something important with your life, the only way forward is to be insane. Don't you find it odd that a 22-year-old in his mother's basement started a YouTube channel, not on vlogs, not on pranks, not on comedy? That's the normal thing to do. No, he started a YouTube channel on executive communication tips. Then he started coaching executives who are double his age the year after, but also still lives in his mother's basement. Also sitting on a mattress as he's talking to you. Dances alone in his basement an hour a day. Karaoke's in 8 different languages. Doesn't own a car. And loves Justin Bieber. How do any of these decisions make any sense at all? And that, my friend, is the point. When every decision in your life makes sense to the only person that matters, which is you, you'll probably be very successful. So be insane or be the same.
Thank you for making Happy Progress part of your day. How are you going to take advantage every day? Please let Alex know by visiting the website happyprogress.com. Together we will prove that progress equals happiness.